After 11 days of American strikes turning Iranian military infrastructure into rubble, the airspace over Kerman Airport felt decided. When $2 billion F-18 Super Hornets, call signs Raven 1 and Raven 2, crossed the horizon, the expectation was a clinical push-button airstrike. But sitting cold in the foothills was an Iranian Tor M1 surface-to-air missile battery. The instant the American jets appeared, the battery commander skipped the standard search phase. He powered up and went straight to fire control, locking onto the jets inside a lethal 12-kilometer range. The incoming threat is overwhelming. Think of the Tor missile as a telephone pole flying at Mach 2.8 and pulling 28 Gs. It utilizes a phased array radar that hops tracking frequencies faster than the Super Hornet's standard electronic jammers can follow. Technological dominance is rarely absolute. A single, unexpected variable can take a flawless offensive plan and instantly collapse it into a desperate fight for survival. Raven 1 reacts instantly, hauling the stick into his lap and pulling a brutal 6 Gs straight vertical. As the horizon flips, his jet pumps out a massive cloud of aluminum chaff to create a radar ghost, while his onboard systems feed false range data to the incoming weapon. The deception works, and the missile detonates on empty air. But that violent life-saving maneuver throws both jets 12 miles south of their planned route. They are now outside the empty desert corridor and flying directly into a mountain pass watched by an unmapped Iranian surveillance radar. In military aviation, this is known as cascading friction. Surviving an immediate lethal threat often acts as a catalyst, creating the exact physical and operational compromises that will try to kill you next. Inside the Super Hornet's targeting pod, a fiber-optic gyroscope relies on a delicate reference laser coupler. Raven 2's 6G snap microfractured this component. The gyroscopes lost their reference point, causing severe system drift. The pilot's camera is now wildly guessing, jittering across the desert floor. To compensate for this hardware drift, Raven 2 is forced into a dangerous tactical compromise. He has to drop his altitude below 15,000 feet, so the Iranian targets on the ground fill a wider portion of his camera frame. A microscopic glass fracture just forced her multi-million-dollar aircraft down from its safe operating ceiling. Raven 2 is now flying directly into the lethal altitude band of cheap analog ground defenses. Above the jets, a new operational gap opens. The MQ-9 Reaper drone providing visual overwatch hits its strict limit, bingo fuel. After 20 hours on station, it has to abandon the airspace. Strict American rules of engagement paralyze the operation. Without a drone providing continuous visual coverage, headquarters revokes the weapon's release authorization. The two Super Hornets are forced into a circling orbit, burning fuel they cannot spare. Down on the ground, the Iranians respond with speed. Immune to American electronic jamming, the garrison uses hardwired landline telephones to coordinate. Within minutes, they deploy analog, twin-barreled Zu-23 anti-aircraft guns and shoulder-fired missiles directly under the circling jets. A highly advanced, networked American strike force sits stalled by its own bureaucratic safety protocols. That 5-minute delay gives a low-tech adversary exactly the time needed to build an analog trap. When a replacement drone finally arrives and clears the jets to strike, the airspace has changed. The target area is now flooded with an invisible wall of Chinese-supplied electronic warfare, drowning the local GPS frequencies in thick static. Under clean conditions, the GPS-guided GBU-38 bomb has a tight 5-meter circular error zone. It hits perfectly. But as jamming degrades the signal, that precise impact radius rapidly swells into a massive 25-meter error zone. Dropping from high altitude now guarantees a miss. To tighten that bloated error radius, the pilot has to cut the bomb's flight time in half. He has to drop lower. This is the complete cascade. A hidden Tor missile caused a mechanical break. That break compounded with an operational blind spot, and electronic warfare finalized the trap. The jets are logically, systematically forced directly into a kill box. Raven 2 commits to a solo dive. He is relying entirely on a broken, jittering targeting pod, watching the screen and waiting for a fleeting half-second of stability to release his payload. The moment he descends, the ground trap springs. An Iranian Misagh-2 thermal missile operator spots the jet, locks onto the engine exhaust, and fires. Raven 2 defends using raw physics. He violently rotates the airframe to hide the hot engine nozzles from the seeker head. simultaneously dumping a barrage of 2,000-degree magnesium flares to blind the missile's thermal imaging brain. When billion-dollar software and automated sensors fail in a contested environment, survival reverts to a pilot's spatial awareness, an understanding of physical geometry, and split-second human reaction times. Raven 2's bomb drops into the electronic noise. It falls through the jammed airspace, constantly micro-adjusting its tail fins to fight through the static, until it finally finds the targeted transport plane. Raven 1 follows up, reading the battlefield instantly. He uses the physical geometry of a large concrete hangar to block the sight lines of the anti-aircraft guns, shielding his approach just long enough to drop his weapon. They hit their marks. They obliterate 50-year-old legacy targets like this C-130 Hercules. But the cost is immense. The pilots pull out battered, their fuel states critically low, having teetered on the very edge of complete mission failure. The Cayman strike reveals the ceiling of technological warfare. When the billion-dollar systems failed, the mission was saved by the resilience and adaptability of the humans in the loop.